Good evening, Albuquerque. I'm Candice New.
And I'm Maple. Welcome to KM96 News, where we bring you the stories that shape our city and celebrate the people who make it shine.
It's a crisp fall evening downtown, finally sweater weather.
Yes, and for everyone still holding out for iced coffee season, today's the day to make the switch. Pumpkin spice or bust.
Coming up this evening, we'll take you inside Albuquerque's Gateway Center for an exclusive look at how it's helping residents get back on their feet.
Plus, what you need to know about the upcoming mayoral runoff election, when to vote, and where to find reliable information.
And New Mexico's groundbreaking free childcare program is now in effect. We'll show you how families are already benefiting.
We'll also check in on the week's weather and some community highlights to get you ready for the weekend.
So pour that second cup of coffee, and we'll get started with today's headlines.
Here are this evening's top stories across Albuquerque, New Mexico, and beyond.
So, as you may have heard, Albuquerque's mayoral race isn't quite finished yet because no one got more than 50% of the vote. The top two candidates, Mayor Tim Keller and former Police Chief Darren White, will face each other again in a runoff election on Tuesday, December 9th.
And if you're thinking, wait, why do we need another election? That's a great question. We're going to break this down so everyone's in on the loop.
In most U.S. elections, whoever gets the most votes wins, even if it's not a majority. That's called a plurality system. And it's the most common way we vote in America.
But some places, including Albuquerque, require a majority, meaning a candidate has to get more than half of all votes. If no one hits 50%, voters come back for a runoff between the top two finishers.
This process isn't rare. About 10 states and more than 50 major U.S. cities use runoffs in some form, places like Atlanta, Houston, and New Orleans. They're considered a traditional alternative when there's a big field of candidates.
And runoffs can shake things up. In Jacksonville, Florida, back in 2023, voters flipped City Hall for the first time in 30 years when Donna Deegan, a Democrat, came from behind to win the runoff after trailing early in the general election.
There was also the Georgia Senate runoff in 2022 when Raphael Warnock pulled off a victory that actually shifted control of Congress. So yes, second rounds really can matter.
But not every place holds a second election. Some cities have switched to something called ranked choice voting, where you mark your first, second, and third choices all in one ballot.
When your top pick doesn't win, your next choice gets counted, kind of like a built-in runoff that happens instantly. Right now, about 40 cities and 2 states, Maine and Alaska, use ranked choice voting for at least some elections.
It's becoming more popular, but not the norm yet. Most Americans still vote the old-fashioned way. Whoever has the most votes wins, period. Runoffs and ranked choice both aim to make sure the winner represents a true majority, but they go about it in different ways.
So, if you've never voted in a runoff before, here's the key takeaways. You don't have to re-register, and your polling place will be the same. All registered voters, even if you didn't vote in the first election, can take part on December 9th, and early voting opens later this month.
It's democracy's version of extra innings. It takes a little more effort, but helps ensure that Albuquerque's next leader truly reflects the will of the people.
New Mexico has made history as the first state in the nation to offer free child care for all families, regardless of income.
The program, launched by the Early Childhood Education and Care Department, covers the full cost of care at licensed centers and home providers.
That's right. Under the program, the state removes income eligibility limits and waives family co-payments for child care. On average, families are expected to save around $12,000 per child per year.
So, how does it work? Families will choose a licensed or registered care provider, center-based or home-based, and the state pays the cost, so you don't have the tuition bill. The expanded system covers infants, toddlers, preschool, and before and after school programs. The state is investing in building out the system, recruiting thousands more early childhood professionals, and giving low-interest loans to expand centers.
What this means for you, if you're a parent, you may be able to send your child to care without paying tuition starting this month. If you're a provider, this means more children, more state funding, and higher quality care. If you're an employer, this could relieve a big hurdle for your employees who are parents. Fewer absences, more stability.
Of course, there are important things to keep in mind. While the policy went into effect November 1st, some providers may not yet have the capacity for all children. The state estimates it needs about 5,000 more early childhood professionals and 14,000 more care slots to fully serve demand. The program is funded largely through interest and earnings from the Early Childhood Education and Care Fund, backed by oil and gas revenue, so sustainable funding remains a watch point. You'll still need to choose a participating provider and register your child. It's free, but not automatic.
In short, New Mexico is pioneering something big: free childcare for every family. But the rollout will take time and attention from all of us: families, providers, community leaders. If you're eligible, now's the time to explore your options.
Families can search for approved centers or apply directly at nmececd.org. Officials say it's expected to lift thousands of families out of poverty by allowing more parents to return to work.
The longest federal government shutdown in U.S. history has officially ended. It lasted 43 days, beginning October 1st, and ended when the funding bill was signed on November 12th.
The deal reopened most federal agencies and restored pay to thousands of federal workers. But, and this is important, it's only a temporary fix. The legislation funds the government through January 30th, 2026, meaning unless a full-year budget is passed, we could be heading towards another funding deadline.
So what did the compromise include? It gave full-year funding to critical agencies like the Department of Agriculture, military construction programs, and the legislative branch. For other agencies, it extended current funding levels via a continuing resolution until January 30th. It also included a promise to hold a vote in December on extending healthcare subsidiaries for the Affordable Care Act, although that vote doesn't guarantee the subsidiaries will be renewed.
But the effects of the shutdown aren't erased just because the deal is done. Some things will take time to return to normal. Federal workers who were paid late might still face late fees or credit issues. Some programs that were frozen or delayed, like food assistance, grant funding, or federal-state contracts, will need time to catch up. Travel delays and TSA staffing issues may persist even though agencies are reopened.
What you can do in the meantime: if you're a federal worker, keep your records of missed paydays and any expenses you accrued during the shutdown. You may need them for reimbursement. If you rely on federal programs, SNAP grants, or contracts, check the managing agencies' websites for updates about delays. Stay tuned. Lawmakers still have to pass a full-year budget by late January, and your voice still matters. You can contact your representative to express your priorities.
Bottom line, the government is back open, and that's good news. But it's not business as usual just yet. Recovery from the shutdown will take time, and the next funding deadline is already looming. We'll keep tracking those developments and what they mean for families here in Albuquerque.
And in moments like this, when families are still catching up on bills, when childcare and food benefits are restarting on delay, and when paychecks don't arrive on time, New Mexicans do what we always do. We show up for each other.
That's something uniquely special about this state. While the shutdown was dragging on, local businesses didn't wait for Washington to fix things. They looked around their neighborhoods and said, "What can we do right now?"
And the answer was food. Meals for families, for anyone who needed help bridging the gap. Local restaurants and food businesses have stepped in to fill the gap. Restaurants providing meals for children during the shutdown include Barrow Cafe, the Lee Bakery, Chicken Salad Chick, and many more. Some additional participating businesses are offering meals specifically to furloughed federal workers and their families. And they're not alone. The city of Albuquerque has kept its free food and resources portal updated with meal sites, food box pickups, senior meal locations, and pantry hours, so families can find help without guesswork.
And there's one more major effort we want to highlight because it shows just how coordinated our community response has been.
This week, DoorDash partnered with the Railyards Market and a network of local farmers to provide 1,000 free food boxes for families affected by the shutdown SNAP delays. These boxes include fresh produce, pantry staples, and locally grown foods.
So far, around 500 boxes have already been distributed, and the rest will roll out over the next 2 weeks as families continue catching up from missed benefits and furloughed paychecks.
I was able to attend the press conference for that announcement, and it was powerful to see the collaboration firsthand. Farmers, nonprofits, city leaders, and DoorDash all working together to support families right here in Albuquerque.
So, let's take you there now. Here's a look at that event and what this partnership means for the community.
My name is Alaska, and I am the Executive Director for the nonprofit Railyards Market, which is the entity that manages the farmers market here on the weekends, as well as various programs like the Veggie Box that you see here. We started off the Veggie Box program distributing fresh and locally grown food from our farmers in another unprecedented time. Yes, we remember the pandemic. We worked with DoorDash on a grant called Project Dash, which was able to help us increase our capacity. We started off delivering about 20 boxes of produce from local farms a week. Fast forward to this year, and over the past 2 weeks, we've distributed over 500 boxes to homes in need, including households with seniors, children, and folks with disabilities.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Alejandra Velasquez. I am the head of Regional Government Relations for the Western region, which includes the great state of New Mexico. And I'm really honored to be here. You know, when most people think about DoorDash, you think about getting your favorite dish, your favorite restaurant delivered to your doorstep, right? But really, DoorDash allows for so much more. And as Alaska mentioned, it means that people with disabilities, people without transportation, people who may be ill, or for whatever reason are unable to easily leave their homes can now also get not just food, but medications, equipment, household items, etc. So it really contributes to a better quality of life for like everybody in our communities. And so as we entered this stage where we saw SNAP recipients who are the beneficiaries, right, of food delivery programs, seeing their benefits impacted, we really wanted to do something that would be helpful for them. Why? Because nobody should have to go hungry. No, we live in one of the richest countries in the world, and you know, there are still kids that go hungry every night. So what we did was we established our emergency response system, which is delivering 1 million meals for free through Project Dash, like the Railyards Market. We're also waiving service and delivery fees for an estimated 300,000 grocers for SNAP recipients at different grocery stores that can be found on the platform.
If you need a meal, if your SNAP deposit hasn't come in yet, or if you're a furloughed worker still playing financial catch-up, you can call 211, check the city's resource page, visit railyardsmarket.org, or stop by one of these local restaurants offering support.
It's a beautiful reminder that even when the community slows down, when the system slows down, our community doesn't. We take care of each other here in New Mexico, and that's something worth celebrating.
While Congress debates here at home, world leaders are gathering this week for the 30th Annual United Nations Climate Summit called COP330 in Belém, Brazil.
That's right. COP stands for Conference of the Parties. It's the meeting where nearly 200 countries under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change come together to measure progress, set goals, and negotiate how we fight global warming.
For 2025, the main themes include mobilizing $1.3 trillion per year for climate action, especially in developing countries, cutting emissions fast enough to keep the planet from warming more than 1.5 Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and ensuring the transition from fossil fuels is fair and supports workers and communities.
However, the White House announced it won't send any high-level officials this year, citing the ongoing government shutdown and security constraints.
That absence has consequences. When the U.S. isn't at the table, it can't shape agreements on clean energy funding, carbon standards, or international partnerships. It also means billions in potential project funding for things like solar expansion, research grants, and energy training programs could be redirected to countries that are actively participating.
And that matters locally because New Mexico is a clean energy hotspot. We're seeing new solar projects in Belen and Las Cruces and a growing wind industry across the east side of the state. When federal climate policy stalls, it slows down the grants, investments, and training programs that keep these jobs growing.
The U.S. still has career delegates attending, scientists and staff, but without a cabinet-level presence, America has less influence on the final agreements. And that means local communities like ours might have to work harder to secure climate funding on our own.
So, while COP30 is half a world away, the decisions made there and who gets to make them will still affect our energy bills, job market, and planet's future. Up next, a closer look inside Albuquerque's Gateway Center, a new hub offering hope and housing for residents rebuilding their lives.
It's a new city-run facility that provides medical care, short-term housing, and recovery services for people experiencing homelessness.
The center recently opened a medical respite unit where patients can recover safely after a hospital discharge, and a housing and treatment navigation center that connects residents with long-term support.
Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to tour the Gateway Center and sit down with Mayor Tim Keller and members of the staff to learn more about the services already in place and what's next as the campus continues to grow.
Here's that conversation.
Hi, Mayor. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the Gateway Center.
Thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to meeting with me and showing me around. I know this building used to be something. Can you tell me, do you know anything about it?
Yes, this was the old Loveless Hospital.
What is this place? Like, it used to be a hospital and now it's the Gateway Center. What is the Gateway Center?
We want in our city different options for places to be able to get help and get off the street. But we know that everyone has a unique situation. And so the idea is we actually have to have multiple answers for multiple types of folks. And so part of that is creating a center place, like a hub and spokes, where folks can come and then be sorted out into the particular help they need. That's what the Gateway is all about. Like, the name is actually what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
It's a gateway to longer term solutions.
Yeah.
And so you're supposed to stay here, it could range from one night to several months, but you can get access to housing, you can get sobering, you can get medical respite. All of these different things happen here at the Gateway. So think of it like this. I mean, it is a giant hospital, so it's a huge piece of architecture and building, and about a third of it is used by folks who do different kinds of social services, especially addiction treatment. So that's awesome. There's nonprofits and folks who do that work, and we have hundreds of people in here every day getting help. Then there's another third that we are recently activating specifically to really focus on folks who are unhoused.
Right.
And then there's another third that is has all sorts of construction, plumbing, and electrician issues that we've known about, but that's future expansion.
Sure.
And so those are really, if you look at the building and you go up to those top stories where there's hospital rooms, one day we hope that's a form of housing. That's the goal. But that's going to be a project for the next couple of years.
Well, at least we're renovating the building and not just, tearing it down. Where are we going to start? Are we going to get started?
We're going to get started, and I'm not even sure where we're going next, so it'll be a surprise. We'll tell you next cut.
All right, well, let's go.
So there's the Family Gateway that is actually a converted hotel that takes care of about 50 families every night, including children, including early childhood care, and we even get them to school and after school. And we're building a young adult gateway, which is going to help teens who are unhoused.
Okay.
That's in another converted hotel. And so there's other gateways too, the West Side Gateway, et cetera. This is the Gateway Center because it's the center and kind of the hub and spokes.
Yeah.
And right here, this is housing navigation for women. And so this facility was built with lots of input actually from folks who were experiencing homelessness. And it has all sorts of different things, from lighting that they felt was appropriate in terms of calmness and so forth, a color scheme,
Right.
and even the furniture. Everything was trauma informed. And this also is meant to be a home, let's say for a couple of months at most, and then you get housing. So this is where we sort of sort people with vouchers and things of this nature, so they have, a future permanent home.
That's incredible.
So this opened about 2 years ago. It's helped about 1,000 women every year, and that is a great thing for our community.
That's phenomenal, yeah. And then, of course, in the same building, you have the men's facility, which is opening soon. And so that's under construction right now, and that's on the other side. And then we have some other really interesting spaces in this building as well.
Yeah.
You want to tell me about that?
Well, we'll go take a look at some of these.
Okay. So we are at the entrance to the first responder station. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, this is the 24/7 first responder area.
Okay.
And really what it does is it fills that gap. So instead of going to the emergency room or instead of going to jail, people can come here.
Right.
And most importantly, first responders can drop them off here. So this can be used by police and fire, but in Albuquerque we have the Community Safety Department.
Right.
And so they will actually do point-to-point transportation. Folks literally unhoused on the street, on a street corner, into this facility. Now, this facility, it looks like a doorway, but what's inside there is we've got about 15 beds that does have different types of medical supervision. So this is the place where, folks can go inebriated and facing other sort of emergent issues that are not life-threatening. And then the idea is you spend like 24 hours here, And then we can figure out where you should go next.
Sure.
But it's this place of stabilization, and it's a place of access. This is something our city has needed for decades. And so we finally have it right here in the back
And
of
it's
the
not
gateway.
a space that you go to and you feel like you're somehow in trouble, which is really nice. And there's not that kind of punishment sort of feeling to it, which is really, really great. We are in the Medical Respite Center. My understanding is that this is a place where if somebody comes in from a hospital and they've had some sort of medical, medical or mental care done, and they would normally go home to a loved one who would be helping to take care of them. Of course, if you are living on the streets, that's, even if you have a loved one to help take care of you, that's really, really hard to recover. And so this place is actually designed to provide that care and to provide that safe place to go to while you're recovering from a surgery or something else.
This is something too, and just to bring it home a little bit to as you think about our city and stuff, and a lot of us, and I hear this all the time. It's like I was driving down Lomas, and I saw someone who was unhoused, like in a hospital gown with like the tags on.
Right.
And this is an issue because if you do need medical care, and unfortunately our streets can be very dangerous. So you have your sort of own medical issues. It might be like diabetes or whatever you might have. But then there's also, unfortunately, violence that can happen to you.
Right.
And there's just the roughness of the street, lots of lacerations, things like this, especially from sleeping in rough areas. And so folks go to a hospital and they get just that triage care, stitches, or they'll get different things, whether it's like frostbite or burns and things like this taken care of. And then they're discharged, but they have nowhere to go. So that's who we see walking on Lomas. Not anymore. That's why we built medical respite. So folks can come here and we work with the hospitals so that they can discharge directly to here.
All right, so here we are at the Sobering Center. We're still in the same building, in case anybody's confused. This building is like 570,000 square feet.
Good job.
And it's huge. So we've gone through lots of places. That's why we've magically transported here. And this is actually a space that I'm really, really excited about. Can you tell me about what this place is about?
Yeah, so we call it the Sobering Center for short. But this is a place, I think if you can think about what it's like if you're actually high or, on a substance. And the challenge is, you have the good parts of that, which are why people get addicted, right? And then you start coming down, and especially depending on the substance you're on, it's very, very difficult. And what happens is some of it is physical. So you're throwing up. It is what it is. You're defecating. All these things happen when you're coming down or when you're trying to go through withdrawal. And so you have to create a place where folks can go through that under medical supervision.
Right.
That's safe. And also, from our perspective, it's like informed for those kinds of physical aspects of sobering. And so that's why this is all like plastic and antimicrobial. All of this is easy clean. So we want it to look, again, not like it's all just like metal beds and chairs, but you've got to be real about what people are going through. And so this is built to accommodate that. And you also have line of sight. So this is like another thing when you visit these centers in other areas. There's often self-harm that can be done, sometimes on purpose, sometimes not. And so that's why you want to make sure and you can see everyone. And then also to make sure there's no harm between individuals.
Right.
And so that's why you have this open layout. It's like the opposite. You don't want any privacy in these situations.
Right.
It can be deadly.
How do other people who might be interested get involved? How can we, can we volunteer? How can we get involved in Albuquerque community safety? Or how can we help out here? Or is there a place to donate if that's the best way? Like, how can we get involved?
It's easy to get involved now because we've built a system for this. So I love that you asked that question. We have an Office of Civic Engagement. You just Google City of Albuquerque or CABQ Civic Engagement. And there's a couple of things in there. One is specifically for the gateway system. There's a wonderful woman named Rachel Hernandez, and she's like a personal matchmaker. She will match your desires to help with what we need. And so that is an example of that personal touch that we want to have in this situation. But on a broader level, we also have like a computer program that's like Match.com. So you type in, I like Saturday afternoons and cooking, and it'll be like, okay, well, maybe you should help make dog biscuits for the dogs that are unhoused.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it'll also do that
So
for you.
different levels of engagement as well. Everything from staying at home and making dog biscuits to even coming out and being a part of something, maybe even as a peer support specialist. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and giving us a tour of this beautiful facility and explaining, kind of one of the ways, or several ways really, that we're helping out and moving forward. So
All
I'm
right. Well,
excited.
thank you so much. Yeah,
Sure.
this was wonderful, and we'll hope to bring you maybe even to some of the other Gateway facilities and get you around with the Community Safety Department.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys in a bit. The Gateway Center is now operating 24 hours a day and expanding through 2026 with additional treatment beds and a first responder receiving area funded in part by the state opioid settlement dollars. If you'd like to learn more or find out about available services, you can visit cabq.gov/gateway.
And remember, the conversation doesn't just stop here. You can watch our full extended tour and discussion on the New Mexico Education Channel.
Coming up next, some lighter community news, a look at the creative side of Albuquerque, and a few things you can enjoy this weekend.
All right, from public service to public spirit, it's time for something a little more fun.
First up, a quick look at local sports. The men's Lobo basketball team improved to a 3-0 with a solid win over UC Riverside Highlanders, 82-68 here in Albuquerque. 6 players scored double digits, and it was the first time the team had 6 double-figure scorers since early 2024. If you're a fan, it's a great time to follow the season as the Lobos head into more road games and conference play.
All right, now let's turn to things happening here around town. Whether you're looking for family-friendly fun or something to mark onto your calendar for the weeks ahead, here are some local picks.
The New Mexico Asian American Film Festival is running this weekend at the Guild Theater. The event will showcase a wide variety of short films made by Asian American filmmakers. This event lifts up minority voices and empowers emerging artists to share their experiences, challenge perspectives, and celebrate their heritage and culture. At the Jurassic Quest Brick Fest, happening at the Albuquerque Convention Center, you'll find life-size dinos and giant Lego displays, great for kids and families.
And looking ahead to November 28th, the 25th Annual Rio Grande Arts and Crafts Holiday Festival is set to return. A festive start to the holiday season with over 150 vendors, live music, and plenty of handcrafted gifts. It's one to put on your calendar for sure.
If you're planning for the weekend, check out event websites for current times and ticket info. And if you have a story or event you'd like us to cover, send it our way.
This week, we're shining a light on something truly exciting happening in local education, a new way Albuquerque is helping high school students discover their passions before graduation.
It's called the Academies of Albuquerque, and it's transforming how students learn by connecting the classroom directly to careers. The idea is simple: give students real-world experience while they're still in high school. So by the time they graduate, they already know where they're headed.
The Academy started with pilot programs at schools like Del Norte High, Rio Grande, and Atrisco Heritage. Students choose a pathway: health sciences, information technology, engineering, trades, business, and even film and digital media, and take hands-on courses with teachers and local industry mentors.
This approach turns high school into a launch pad. Instead of just memorizing material, students work on projects, building solar panels, designing websites, filming documentaries, whatever fits their field.
And it's not only for college-bound students. These pathways connect to apprenticeships, certificates, and local employers so teens can graduate ready for college or career.
What's really special is how the community is involved. Local businesses, unions, and colleges partner directly with schools to provide mentors, internships, and resources. That means when a student studies healthcare, they might actually shadow a nurse at UNM Hospital, or when they study construction, they're learning from a professional on site.
The goal is to reach every APS high school by 2028, giving each student at least one meaningful career-connected learning experience before graduation.
It's education that meets students where they are and connects them to where they're going, and it's happening right here in Albuquerque.
If you'd like to learn more about which high schools are part of the program or how to get involved, you can visit aps.edu/academies or contact your local school counselor.
Coming up next, Maple's got our weather and wellness forecast, including how to stay calm and grounded as the holidays approach.
Enjoy the sun this weekend because starting Monday, temperatures start to drop with partly sunny skies and a high around 57, dropping to 42 degrees overnight. Tuesday through Thursday, we'll see highs around 50 with mostly clouds and a chance of rain on Wednesday. By Friday, the sun should peek through, but with a high of just 47. Sweater weather has definitely arrived and probably time to dust off those winter coats, grab a hot beverage, and look forward to holiday lights and events. Speaking of, I don't know about you, but between election talk, travel chaos, and the holidays creeping closer, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. So, here are 5 small things you can do to calm your soul when everything feels like it's just a little too much. 1. Step outside for 2 minutes. Look at the sky. Notice something alive, a bird, a leaf, a sound. It's a reminder that the world keeps turning no matter how stressful our day feels. 2. Create a quiet corner. It doesn't need to be fancy. A chair, a candle, a spot by the window. Make it your go-to reset space. 3. Say no once this week. Skip one thing that drains you. A meeting, a social event, even an errand. Protecting your peace is productive. 4. Text someone thinking of you. Connection regulates stress more than we realize, and it might make someone else's day too. 5. End your day intentionally. Even if you just take one deep breath before bed, acknowledge that you made it through the day, and that's enough.
I love that. It's not about perfection, it's about grace. So this week, give yourself a little space to breathe, reconnect, and remember, you're part of a bigger community that cares.
And before we go, a quick thank you for spending part of your week with us. From the mayoral runoff and child care expansion to community stories and sunshine ahead, it's been a week full of reasons to stay informed and hopeful.
We'll be following updates on the government reopening, local elections, and all the stories that shape life here in Albuquerque. You can always find more on our website or by tuning in next week, same time, same place.
And before we go, we just want to say thank you for joining us on our first broadcast.
Woo!
Our goal is simple: to keep you informed, inspired, and connected to the stories that matter most in our community.
So take care of yourselves, stay curious, and remember, the sun shines not just in the forecast, it's in the way New Mexicans show up for each other.
I'm Maple.
And I'm Candice. Thank you for spending your evening with us. We'll see you next week right here on KM96 News.